When I was a student, I was worried by where things came from and why they were there in the curriculum. And I think we can say the same thing about the mess of the curriculum that we've got today. For me, the history of mathematics has been a lifelong passion. And what it does for me is to show me how mathematics is not just arithmetic, algebra and geometry or number, shape and space and things like that, but it is a unified body of knowledge which grew up not by big names or something like that, but by little people who were solved practical problems. And this is the sort of information that doesn't really get to the wider audience. When you read a standard history of mathematics books, it's arranged chronologically. It's arranged in order of civilizations or the dates and times and things like that. What's underneath that, what really created the mathematics, are the human practical problems, the problems of social consequences, the problems of engineering, the problems of building, and all sorts of things like that, administration of empires and so on. Mathematics was invented as a means for administration first, even before writing, something like 5,000 years ago. Okay. What we have today is a jumble of information in the curriculum. It's bits and pieces, and the history of mathematics, if you know something about the history of mathematics, then this helps you to unify things. Mathematics was never divided up into pieces. It was used as practical technological information, and that gave rise to the technical side of things. On the other hand, there were some people, like the priests and the scholars, who sat cool in the temples and had a jolly good time sorting out all these things intellectually. So we got, on the one side, we got the very practical things, on the other side we got the intellectual things. And this is the beauty of mathematics, because one feeds on the other, one comes from the other. My particular period that I'm interested in at the moment is the 16th century in England, and I'm looking at the way the curriculum grew and the way in which mathematics came into England as a subject which was practically applicable. And my big interest here is mathematics outside the universities, mathematics for the working man, mathematics for the people. For example, one person that I'm interested in, a man called Thomas Digges, was interested in, or he was in charge of the redesign of Dover Harbour in the late 16th century. Now this was strategically important because we were at war with the Spanish at that time. In fact, we went on to have a war with the Spanish for a long time. But he was in charge of a group of people who virtually invented quantity surveying. They had huge amounts of material to manage and loads of men, labourers to look after. The people in the Privy Council who provided the money, they only knew how to add and subtract sometimes. They certainly didn't know how to multiply and divide. And those are the people in England who are in charge of the money. Is it different today? But Thomas Digges and his collaborators rebuilt the harbour and used all the practical mathematics that people had built up before that in order to make a good job of it. Later on, we have the way in which the mathematics spreads through England and through all the practical uses like surveying and navigation and accounting and all sorts of things like that. These are the people who build up the mathematics which we teach in school today, but nobody ever tells us how it came there and who did it and why. So we have a real big body of knowledge which is available to us. The problem is, that's the problem. It's availability. Where is it? Well, one of the things that I'm doing is digging it out and finding ways of being able to try and present it to you so that you can use it in your classroom. Knowing something, I'm not teaching history of mathematics, I want people to be aware that mathematics has a history. If kids have the awareness of the history of mathematics, then we can get much further with the way in which we think about mathematics and the way we do mathematics.